and welcome to this episode of Baseball Betsy and Ross Baseball Talk. We've come to the end of spring training.
Finally.
Going every day kind of gets to be a lot, even if there isn't a game.
It's really tiresome, especially when you have to go to the minor league camp and then you have to follow the major league games, and it's just been a real grind.
For the average baseball fan, it's not just 2 hours, because if there's a major league game at the complex, you need to be there by 10:30 at the latest if you want to park by Carpenter. And then the games don't start till 1, so you've got that couple hours time there to wait. And if even if you do get there later in the day, if there's no major league game, you still need to get there about noon so you can get set up, and then you're there until about 3:30, 4 o'clock. It makes for a long day.
It does, especially when you're like me, being very frugal with the dollar and try to find free parking about a mile or two away from the stadium. By the time I get back to my car in the evening, I'm exhausted.
I just pay the $10 or Uber. Costs just the same. So here we are at the end of spring training. Bryce Harper's debut as a Philly was on March 9th. As soon as they announced that March 9th was going to be Harper's first game as a Philly, we went to the box office the very next morning, got tickets, and we're standing room only, or berm seating, which I'm not sitting on the grass in the sun in Florida. That's just stupid. So we stood under the overhang and watched the game there. We played the Blue Jays. Ironically, the same team we were playing, and we were at that game when they announced that we were getting Bryce Harper.
I think that really caught the excitement, the game down here. We live 3 blocks from Dunedin Stadium, and that game that the Phillies played with Dunedin the day they signed Bryce Harper was just tremendous. Being there, seeing the Phillies fans in the stands react to the word that came across the internet, the radio, or whatever, and it was just an injection of adrenaline into the crowd. It was just something I've never quite seen before.
And I wonder if that energy kind of put off the Jays, because at that game against the Jays here in Dunedin, someone stood up and yelled, "We got him, boys. We signed Harper." And all of a sudden, whatever was going on in the field just didn't matter anymore. It was all about, let's get home, let's go see Sports Center or put on MLB Network and see the Bryce Harper news. And a good part of the crowd left that day. Then the next game here that we're talking about, the next time we played them, was Harper's debut. And it was almost like they had a vendetta, because Hoskins came out, he gets a home run. The very next time Hoskins comes up to the plate, they threw one right at his head. And I'll inject the picture here of that. I took a picture, and you can see how close to Reese's head it was. And this is going to play into what's coming up in the next 2 games.
Yeah, I think it just put the season into focus. It's going to be an exciting season. It's going to be one that we're going to follow very closely, both at the major league level and, of course, us being stationed here in Clearwater area in the minor league system to watch this Phillies organization grow and develop into a top-notch contender for the National League championship.
We've been coming to spring training for more than a dozen years. We were coming down before they even won the World Series, and I don't remember another year, except maybe the first year after they won the World Series, where there was this much excitement in the air and anticipation of the season actually getting started. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. After Harper's first debut game, the very next game against the Jays was the game where Harper got pegged in the ankle, which I think frightened everybody, that we just paid $330 million for a guy who may not actually get to play in the regular season ever. I know for a couple hours we were watching the news waiting to see, did Harper break his ankle, or was it going to be something more serious than a bruise, and thank goodness it wasn't.
Yeah, and the minor league pitcher that the Blue Jays had on the mound was a celebrity for a day. Everybody wanted to interview him. Here he throws at a pitch down and in and hits at that time, very briefly, the highest paid player in professional baseball, and it just set the tone for the season and spring training in general.
And with Hoskins almost getting hit in the head the game previous to that, it made sense that, if you remember, Harper was quoted in the paper as saying, if Bryce would have charged him out, I would have had his back. Well, no wonder he got thrown out the last game. So kind of got to be a pattern there. It was a little scary.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Jays fan too, as far as, you know, their team's right here, and I have a soft spot for the Jays, but I don't think I'm going to be talking to them for a while. Kind of makes you a little angry that they're throwing at people. That's just what's the term, Bush League?
It really was, of course. They will say they just lost control, and the umpires really didn't do anything, and it soon passed, but you just don't go to the game to see that kind of pitching, and it was a rather frustrating time where we want to go see Harper play, and we get that kind of performance on the field by the opponents.
And then we fast forward to last Monday, which was an interesting day for me. I went over to the minor league complex, and JT Realmuto and Bryce Harper were there, since the team was on the road getting some batting practice in. And that was the first time that I've seen Harper where I get it. I know the kind of power he can have, because during that game he had two really good singles, one of which was right up the center, and even the pitcher that we were against, I don't even remember the team we were playing, to be quite honest, but he jumped back because it came up at him so far and so fast. And it was just a really solid hit, and you could see that Harper's timing was coming back, and that he was getting that sense of timing back, which really was kind of cool, because that Thursday then, when they played the Jays, yet again, we've been to 3 games, all 3 against the Jays, not by on purpose, but just by stupid happenstance. And we went to the game last Thursday, and what happened?
Right, Bryce Harper went deep twice, and it was just sheer excitement to see him stroke the baseball. And the wind was blowing out to right, and he didn't need any help on those drives that he put. One went out of Spectrum Field, and the other landed over the wall, over the fence in right field. But
right by the World Series championship sign at Spectrum Field. The other one's alligator food. It's out there in that retention pond, right by Highway 19, where all the alligators are. Yes, there are alligators. I've seen pictures. The other thing that was really interesting, I'm going to put in the 2 pictures I have of Harper hitting his 2 home runs. I happen to be in the right place, right time both times, so I have 2 good pictures of those home runs. If you want to see it in video form, I'm sure you can just look on NBCSN or MLB and they'll have it. So I had those 2 really good shots. That the final score of the game was,
well, it was lopsided. What was it? 13-5.
13-6. 13-6.
It was just no contest, because all the new guys, everybody was going deep. The Phillies hit 6 home runs. The wind was blowing strongly to right, and it just shows what the potential power that this team is going to generate during the regular season. And that's why we're very anxious for opening day coming up later in the week of this week.
And the other thing that was interesting about that day, after we had gone to Harper's debut the week before, Topps now issued a limited edition, available for only 24 hours card, the Bryce Harper debut as a Phillies card. It's right here. I happened to buy a few of those, probably more than I should have, and I always carry 2 with me. One to get signed, and then I thought, if it's so limited edition, maybe Bryce wouldn't have seen it. I'd just give him a copy just to be a nice person. And when we were at the game on Thursday, I ran into John Middleton, the owner of the Phillies, and I asked him to sign the card, which is right here. He did sign for me. He's a very nice gentleman. And he said, "This is a really neat card. I haven't seen one like this before." And I said, "Just wait a minute." And I ran back, got my camera bag, got the extra card out, and I gave it to him, and he clapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "That is so unbelievably kind. Thank you so much." So it was kind of nice to know I did something for the man who brought us Bryce Harper. So I managed to mount here. This is his debut game ticket. This is the card. This is the front. Someday I'm going to get Bryce to sign that. I swear, I'm going to track him down. here's the back of the card, and then here's the card that Middleton signed, and then this is a ticket to the Blue Jays game where we were sitting when they announced that we had Harper. So I mounted that all together there in one frame because that was kind of special to me. The other thing is the Bryce Harper jersey hanging up there. Modell's Sporting Goods in Philadelphia had a contest, a gift contest, that if you retweeted the tweet and replied with a GIF, out of the people they picked, they would pick someone to win a Bryce Harper jersey. I think about 1,200 people retweeted and gift, and out of everybody that submitted theirs, they picked my gift. The one I had shown last time, I'll insert a clip here. It's Bryce Harper waving from John Middleton's plane the day he came into Clearwater. And so Modell's, not sponsored, was so kind to send me that jersey as a winning prize for the contest there. So I've been wearing my Harper jersey around praying I run into Bryce somewhere, but it hasn't happened yet. So, anything else there, Ross?
Well, no, I just think it shows the build-up. We've been, as Betsy pointed out, we've been coming to spring training now on a regular basis for at least the last 10 years, and we were there right as the Phillies were starting the sort of the decline from the World Series team of 08 and 09, and of course there was excitement with Cliff Lee when he was here. We pack then Bright House Field, and when they got Roy Halladay, we thought there'd be another World Series in the offing, but it never came to be. And then things really settled down the last couple of years, where people were more indifferent. Their enthusiasm wasn't there. But we got, when John Middleton signed Bryce Harper, it just completely changed the focus, the excitement. All of a sudden, Spectrum Field was sold out. We had to use our elbows to get in standing room only. I like the standing room seats behind home plate. The game we saw Bryce hit his 2 home runs, we walked around the entire stadium, so as each inning advanced, we got a different perspective of the game, and it was really an amazing sensation to see all these people all pulling in one direction for the Phillies. I may have seen 10-15 Blue Jay fans, and maybe 10,000 Philly fans. It was just, the excitement was just reminded me of when we first started coming to spring training after and during the Phillies play and World Series action, and the subsequent years with Cliff Lee and
Cole Hamels,
Roy Halladay, of course Cole Hamels,
which is
initially.
Cole's back. There's Cliff Lee's there, Cole Hamels there, Jimmy Rollins, all the greats. Mm-hmm. But it's just, I think the other thing that's different too is in the last few years, once the major league game would start, there wouldn't be really anybody at the minor league complex. And I don't know if it's that people tried to get tickets and couldn't get into the major league game, or they didn't even care, but they wanted to see the young kids, because there's been a lot more people hanging around the Carpenter complex, even on game day. So it's been a much different experience as far as crowd levels. It's really getting harder and harder to find parking. Luckily, we know a few places.
Yeah.
So.
Today I went to the minor league complex rather than watch the final spring training game, and the three big buses were lined up about the 7th or 8th inning of the minor league games behind Spectrum Field, and then there were trucks backed up to take the equipment to the airport to bring the Phillies up north. So it brought closure to Philly spring training, and you could just see that everyone's really excited for the season, ready to see the season start, and it should be just a fascinating start to the 2019 season.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me almost want to make the trek up north to catch a few games. Mm-hmm. At Citizens Bank Park. I mean, that's, for us, I mean, being down here, it is quite a haul just to go see a couple baseball games, but who knows, maybe we'll make it this summer.
On the other hand, next week is excitement for us because we're going to be seeing Class A Florida State League baseball. So
yeah, not going to argue about that.
It's a different perspective. We have our MLB package and our MILB package, so we can watch the games from the stadium, the Phillies games. We can come back and watch the end of those games. But we'll be mostly at at Spectrum Field, and we're going to see truly the future the stars of tomorrow play today there. And we looked at a game today where we saw a lot of the former Threshers play. We saw all their first-round draft picks playing against the great New York Yankees, and they won. The Phillies won 2-1 with some great play by Mickey Moniak in center field.
Derek Hall.
We saw Derek Hall hit 3 bullets, 3 line drives, and 2 singles and a double. Derek scored the winning run, and then we saw Bone at third base, Alec Bone. He drove in the winning run on a sacrifice fly to center. We saw Cornelius Randolph line 2 base hits. It was just the excitement is not only just at the top, but also in the entire Phillies organization. To see today, we saw 3 #1 draft picks on the field. Now I don't know if they'll be playing. This was like the Double-A team. I don't know if they'll be all playing in Reading, but certainly there's a lot of talent that's out there that's going to, I think, maintain the team into future seasons, and I think the future is quite bright for the Phillies. And Bryce Harper's 13-year deal will pay off, because he's going to be, I think, the linchpin for these young players that are coming along, and it's going to be quite an exciting time. And we'll be watching down here, as Betsy said. Maybe we can get up there. One year we made a trip and saw every Phillies game from the Major League team all the way down to the GCL in 1 week's time. But we're getting sort of a little older, and that was quite a grind.
I think our problem too was we stayed in Harrisburg because we thought it would be centrally located between State College and, well, one of the games was in State College, but for Williamsport and Lakewood, we thought, well, we'll stay in Harrisburg area because we have family there. And it ended up, we drove to State College and then back to Harrisburg, then up to Williamsport, to Harrisburg, to Lakewood, to Harrisburg, to Lehigh Valley, to Harrisburg, to Reading, to Harrisburg. So we drove 1,200 miles in a week on top of flying 1,000 miles each way, and it got to be a little much. So we'll be a little more selective this year, I think, in the games we'd see, I think, because it's just, it really does get to be much. But I'm really excited to start the season. Next Wednesday, I'll have video of the introduction of the Threshers. They always put a great the Threshers put a great party together for the season ticket holders, where they have a good buffet, I believe it's buffet, right? Mm-hmm. A buffet dinner up the center at near the Tiki Bar there on that plaza, and they'll have a buffet dinner, and then after dinner they introduce the entire team, so I'll be sure to post that then. And the next night, we play the Blue Jays. We play the Dunedin Blue Jays that night. So we're just getting inundated with the Toronto farm system.
It'll be different because the Threshers will be the visiting team at their own stadium. They're going to be completely rehabbing Dunedin Stadium for the entire season, and they're going to be playing a few games at Spectrum Field, and I guess the rest will be played at old Jack Russell Stadium. And I haven't seen a game there since the 90s, and I remember watching Greg Gross play at Jack Russell. So it'll be quite an experience to watch some baseball at old Jack Russell Stadium, just a mile or two from here, up in Clearwater. So we're looking forward to a real busy baseball season.
And we did do a video on all the different places where the Phillies have played in Clearwater. I'll put a link to that down in the description below so that you can see that video and get an idea of what Jack Russell Stadium looks like. Being in Dunedin, I'm on the Dunedin Stadium Committee, and for me, I'm really excited because to be honest, it was kind of bad that you couldn't see the minor leaguers this year. Because they had to close the fields up at Salon because construction's already started up there. But on a personal note, I'm really excited to see this start because I've been on this committee about 5 years helping this along the road. So it's going to be really great to see it done next season. They're going to have a nice stadium, have a nice complex, and everybody will get to see more baseball.
Yeah, they'll have the 360 like they do at Spectrum Field, where you can go all around the stadium here in Dunedin. So we're very, very excited about the future of baseball in this immediate area, and the talent that especially the Phillies are going to have in the future and have currently. It's just going to be good baseball, I think, for now and a long time into the future.
And with that, that'll be the end of this episode of Baseball Bestie and Ross Baseball Talk. Be sure to stay tuned next week. As I said, I'll have video of the introduction of the Threshers, and we'll bring back some more information then. So have a great week. See you soon.